By the end of this video, you will be able to understand how to learn camera. Everything is available on YouTube, but the problem is it is scattered everywhere. When you look at a guide or a sequence of learning stuff, it becomes easy for you to follow the route. This video will particularly tell you about what you need to learn when you basically go about learning the camera. When talking about camera, the first thing that you have to understand is the mindset with which you operate a camera. A camera is basically like a vehicle, and depending upon who you are, you will basically buy the vehicle. For example, if you're a rider, you will buy a Hayabusa or a Ninja. If you are going into the mountains, you will buy a Himalayan. Or if you are from the streets and the city, you will buy a Cafe Racer. Same way, every camera is different, but as the principles of a bike will remain the same, that is acceleration, clutch and brake, same thing applies to the camera as well. So what are basically these things? The first thing is camera and lens are two different things. And with that, it forms a camera. Okay. So for example, this part is the lens and this part is the camera body. When you basically understand them this way, you'll be able to understand the difference between controls. Understanding camera is basically like using a phone camera. The only difference is here you have a lot more control. It is basically driving an automatic vehicle versus a fully manual vehicle. And that is where the fun in photography lies. When you look at a camera, much like your phone camera, the first thing that comes in is your lens. In your phone, when you zoom in, you maybe do 1x or 2x, or if you have a wide angle lens, you zoom out. Same thing happens with this as well. The first thing to control is this thing here. You can zoom in or zoom out. That is basically one thing that your lens will do. For it, it will have a ring on top of it. Every lens that you find, every brand is different. It will usually have a ring that will let you know about how to use the lens. For that, you have to specifically search which camera or which lens you are using, and that will be a lot of help to you. The second thing that your lens captures is setting the focus manually. When we talk about manually setting the focus, what you can do is, if I move this ring, okay, now everything has gone blur. If I move it back, now I'll be in focus and you are able to see me clearly. This thing only happened with this ring right here, okay? You don't need to particularly see the ring because with different lenses, it will change. But those are the two things the lens will give you an option of. One, zooming in and zooming out. Second is focusing. Now, when we are done with understanding the lens, then you have to move on understanding about the camera. People, this entire gadget is about letting light into it, and then whatever is imprinted, you see. For example, when you see here, you see orange light that is coming from the bulb. When you see me, you see a light that is illuminating me, and I'm brighter than my background because more light is falling on me. Same way, the exact same way, light is captured into the camera. So one thing that we have to understand is we are basically capturing light. Camera has three main functions or three main settings that are very important. One is going to be shutter speed. The next one is going to be aperture. And the next one is going to be ISO, or the last one is going to be ISO. When you talk about shutter speed, you'll have to go and understand what shutter speed is. If I just give you a minute example of what shutter speed can do, please look at my hand and see that you can track it easily. But as I move my shutter speed, now the light has changed. Two things have changed. One, the movement of my hand has become a lot blurry. And with that, the light has increased. That is what shutter speed does for you. Shutter speed will increase the light or decrease the light depending upon what you're shooting. And it will change or it will capture the movement of your subject in a very different way. The second thing is going to be aperture. Aperture basically decides how much you focus on one thing and if you're focusing on everything or just one thing. For example, if you look at this, I have an object right here and let us focus on this for now. When I focus on this particular object, I have gone blur in the background. Now let me increase my aperture a little bit and you will be able to see me in focus as well as the object or the book in front of me. When I decrease the aperture, I'm going blur and you only focus on the object. This is basically what aperture does. The third point, ISO. ISO basically controls the light that is falling onto your camera. For example, if I decrease the ISO, it will become very dark. As I go on increasing, the light will increase. This is an alternative of what you have in your cameras or phone cameras by, you click and drag the pointer down to make it darker or brighter. This is just an equivalent of it. Now, I know this is a little heavy, shutter speed, ISO, aperture. You have to understand how to handle them together, and that is called exposure triangle. One more thing after shutter speed, exposure and aperture is something called the shooting modes. When you click a photo on your phone, you are shooting at an auto mode, right? But what if you want to go to manual? In manual, you get control over almost everything. Not almost, everything. You get control over shutter speed, aperture, exposure, and you have to balance it. ISO, that is exposure. When you basically don't want to do that, you have other modes also. You have the program mode, you have the shutter mode, you have the aperture mode, which will give priority to one setting and automatically adjust the remaining part of the setting by itself in the camera. Now, when we move ahead from it, you have learned the settings of the lens, you have learned the settings of the camera. The next point that comes in is going to be white balance. You will have to understand that if there are different color of light in the room, how are you going to basically manage it? After that, there is something called the metering mode. A metering mode is nothing but, right now if you see this part is dark, this part is bright, I am a little brighter, okay? But how does the camera make sense of all the light that is coming into the camera? For that, you basically have to learn metering mode. When you're done with looking at the lens, the camera, the settings in the camera, and the white balance, metering mode, now it is game time. And when you look at something that is outside the camera gamut, there are two things that are very important. One is going to be the lighting that you see in the back of me. And it is great if you understand lighting. And the second is going to be composition. Even with your phone camera, if you place it somewhere and you want to click, what you are going to click is going to make a lot of sense. And that is where composition will help you a lot. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much.